Hi cherries, it's Jessica here from A Cherry on Top, and welcome to our February YouTube hop. This month we are focusing on monochrome projects, so make sure to watch this video and leave a comment, and then also check out our other design team members who are also doing a monochromatic theme for this hop. So if you leave a comment on all of our videos, you'll be in the running to win a $10 ACOT gift card. The links to the other videos are in the description, as well as all of the products that I'm using today. I am starting out with this P13 chipboard piece, and I just think it is so cool. There's a lot of different designs from P13, this type of chipboard, and it actually came with some like plain chipboard pieces in the back, which I'm also using here. And I am going to layer it, and this is like my main piece, my focal point of this layout. I started by applying gesso to it. I didn't apply the gesso perfectly. If you don't add gesso, your paint tends to just kind of soak in, and you can get varying results. So I applied some gesso so that I can have some richer color some areas, but then it also absorb a little bit in other places. The paint that I'm using today is the avocado color of the liquid acrylics from Prima, and these are just some of my favorite paints. If you've seen some videos before, you know I use them all the time. I'm a big fan. I like that you can use them as watercolors, but then they also work as acrylics. You really get the best of both worlds. Now I wanted my top layer piece with all of the intricate designs to be popped up a little bit. So I'm using some cherry foam tape to tape it down. This way it'll be a little bit further from the background and make a little bit more dimensional piece as well. The part with all of the lace in it, I wanted to be even more dimensional, so I will be adding 2 rows of this foam cherry tape on it, so it's nice and thick. And I know I like to work more dimensionally, and it seems like this would be a really thick layout, but it really isn't that bad. My tip for going around rounded edges for using foam tape is all you have to do is pull off the other end where it has the paper, and then you're able to easily mold it around, and you can get these weird shapes like at the point of this piece, and it's pretty easy. When I go to add this piece onto the rest of it, I notice that you can see some of the foam, so I am just going to paint around the edge of it a little bit just to help blend it in, and at the end of this piece you really don't even see it at all. Painting over some of the sticky part of the tape did make it a little harder to stick, so I added some wet glue over it as well. And now I'm looking how it will look on my scrapbook page. This is some watercolor paper. I love working with watercolor paper, one because it has such great texture, and I like picking the thicker watercolor paper. This is Strathmore watercolor paper, and it's 12 by 12, so perfect for layouts. And how I go at it is I use a biggish brush, and I want most of the surface wet. So I wet it all, and then I added a little bit more of the paint in some areas. Now I'm using some pearlescent medium from Sizzix. If you have not tried it yet, I really highly recommend it. It adds a subtle but really nice glistening effect. As you can see as I'm putting it on here, it doesn't have a lot of color. It just really adds that bit of sparkle, but like I said, it's not overwhelming, and it's really addictive. Like, I ended up adding it over my entire page here. These are some more pieces from P13, and I'm going to paint them with the same paint. I didn't wash out my brush that great after using the pearlescent medium, so actually these leaves have a little sparkle to them as well, which I am definitely not mad about. I think that'll look really cool in the end. So sticking with this monochromatic theme, I figured good embellishments would be to use die cuts because I can cut it out of whatever paper I want, and because I'm going with green, it might as well be leaves. This is a leaf die cut, and actually it's a wreath shape, as you can see, but I will be cutting it apart and using it more like straighter pieces or curved pieces. I really like using these wreaths. I don't think I've actually ever used it as a whole wreath, but just as a good chunk of leaves. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to die cut it a billion times. I only die cut this piece 3 times, and look at all the leaves that I have. My next step, I added some ink with using a blending brush to each of these pieces. I think that really helps a piece because it doesn't look like it's all one solid color, and it kind of takes it out of the looking like it's just a piece of paper leaf. And that's also why I used the Sizzix paper shaping tool, which almost any time I use dies, I use that tool because it just rounds the edges and gives it a little bit more dimension. Even if I'll be sticking this page in a page protector and they'll flatten down a little bit, some of them will still be curled up, and it just makes it a little bit more interesting, at least for me. To stick all of these down, I'm using some wet glue. I just find wet glue is easy because I can move them around as I need and reposition here and there. I decided to go more around the bottom corner and then move up towards the top right hand side of the piece. I didn't want it to look symmetrical on both sides. With most of my mixed media pieces, I add splatters too. I think it's just a super quick and easy way to add a lot. On this piece, I'm adding a lot of white splatters all over the page, as well as some of the greens, the different green paints that I was using as well. There's a couple different splatter techniques I use. When I do it, you first need to work with really watered down paint. So I did that first, and then I can splatter it by either tapping it on my finger or by using my finger to kind of flick the bristles up a bit. I decided that I wanted this piece to look a little bit more distressed in some areas, so now I'm adding some Crackle Paste. I think adding some texture paste on here was really great because, one, it adds a little bit more texture, especially this crackle texture I think will look just right. And then also because I put that pearlescent medium over pretty much all of this piece, it kind of takes down some of that shimmeriness so that only where I didn't put the texture paste it will still be shimmery. When I added my photos on this piece, I thought that they seemed a little lost inside the all of the detail in the chipboard piece, so I wanted to make a photo mat for them. So that's what this piece will be. I again treated the acrylic as watercolor again, and I kept it pretty light, but now again I'm adding some of the texture paste. When you're adding texture paste, especially the crackle texture paste, it needs to be a certain amount of thickness for it to actually crackle. A couple places it wasn't thick enough, and it kind of looks like white paint, which is still fine, but I was really going for the crackle texture, so I made sure on this photo mat piece that I made it really thick so you can really see a lot of the texture. These photos are actually of my little brother and I when we were young and playing in the rain. I think they're super cute, and I'm kind of surprised I haven't scrapped them at all yet. So this was a fun piece. I was really debating whether to use the green for the monochrome or the blue. I was thinking the blue because of the rain, and it seems more like you would use blue for rain, but because the pictures are mostly green, I figured I'd go with the green. And I love working with green anyways, so it worked. I didn't want this photo mat piece to be without splatters, so I made sure to add them on here as well. I also feel like because my photos look like they're in the rain, more splatters make it feel like it's rain. That's also why I'm adding these little, they're like clear enamel dots. So I added those all over the leaves as well as these rhinestones. And I have a really great tip here for you for these rhinestones is that you get white rhinestones and then you use an alcohol marker to color them whatever color you want. So today I'm using green, but this way you can have your rhinestones match whatever project you're working on. And it does have to be an alcohol marker because otherwise it would come off. Well, thanks for watching. Here is the finished piece. I had a lot of fun with it. I love getting into all of the mixed media. I hope you learned some new tips and check out the other videos in the hop. Thanks for watching.